Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's album review. Today, we're going to be reviewing Coldplay, a Coldplay album for the third time. So, I'm going to share the screen and show you the request. So, it's come from Scrambled 59 yet again. So, I think we might as well complete the trilogy and do Parachutes. This album contains Yellow, probably their most famous song, and it has more of an acoustic early morning. And Brett, can you pronounce this word, please?
See the screen enough.
Melan.
He's for colic. I mean,
yeah, you can tell I'm a good English teacher, right? Melancholic vibe to it. Okay, so. Yeah, look, I've said this before. I've said it on our videos, I think. I've definitely said it to you, Brett. I think I've said it. I've definitely said it before. I love Yellow. This is definitely my favourite Coldplay song. Okay, so if you're into your football, I support Watford. Watford wear yellow. It's kind of like, kind of Watford song. I remember sometimes at the stadium they play it. And I just like the song. Always have liked it, and I like what Scramble 59 is saying here. Saying, the album has a sort of acoustic early morning and that other word vibe to it. So I think that's definitely more my thing, rather than the last album we listened to of Coldplay, which I didn't really get on with so well. I thought X and Y was fairly good, especially the second part of it. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this. At least I know there's definitely one decent song on there. Brett, before we look at the album, what are your thoughts on it? Do you know anything about the album?
No, it's not an album I've listened to. I obviously know it's their first album. No Yellow's on there. Just trying to think. I think that song Trouble, which I quite like, is on there. And there is another. It might be the song Parachutes. There is another song of theirs quite famous, which is on there as well. So that's it. We know it's going to be the early stuff there. I'm intrigued to listen to it. I'm really trying to keep a level head and not trying. I know all the songs are not going to be as good as Yellow, so I don't expect it all to be on par with that. But it'd be interesting to see. I think maybe the other albums we've listened to being a bit more artistic. Maybe this is just Coldplay in their purest form from the early stages there. So yeah, looking forward to listening to it. But like I said, I'm trying to keep it, not think that it's going to be absolutely amazing, and just take it for what it is.
Okay, let's have a look at the album. So it's from back in 2000. It's a kind of nice period of time for us. We were young, free and single. We were, kids. We was kind of, I don't know. It was a nice time. We weren't kids, but we were. Well, I was a kid. Of course, I was a kid. You were kids. We were still kids. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
We're not that old. Yeah. Right. Okay. So we won't go through all of this. Let's just have a look at the songs on there. Don't Panic, Shiver. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you mentioned Trouble. Now, Trouble, I definitely know it. I just need to kind of listen to it again. So it's probably been a long time since I've heard it. Don't Panic and Shiver, I'm guessing, are released songs as well, because they're clickable. But I don't recognise them from the names. Okay, so we're going to listen to the first 10. We won't do the Japanese edition bonus tracks. So yeah, only 10 songs on there.
And a couple of hidden tracks, it seems.
Yeah. Everything's Not Lost. Everything's Not Lost ends at 5-3-1. Okay.
I feel like this was a very early naughty thing as well. I remember Robbie Williams' album also he was famous for putting like hidden tracks on there as well. But yeah, if either of us manage to find the hidden track, maybe we should include that.
Yeah, look, I just listen on Spotify, whatever happens on there, whatever the song lists are. But yeah, we'll see. Okay, so yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I want to see what this is all about. I want to have that. I like the fact that it's supposedly going to be that kind of more, I don't know, mellow, kind of typical Coldplay. Maybe like you said, kind of doing what they do best, perhaps without trying to be too creative and clever, maybe. But we'll see. Anything you wanted to add before we go off and listen to the album?
No, I think pretty much said it there. I will quickly say I do recognise "Don't Panic" and "Shiver," and potentially "Sparks" as well. That seems to ring a bell. And I said "Parachutes" on there, but it's a very short track, so maybe I was getting confused with a different song. So, but yeah, looking forward to it, but keeping my expectations quite low.
Yeah, I'm really surprised. Don't Panic. It's only 2 minutes 17, and that's weird. That can't have been a release song. They wouldn't release a song that's 2 minutes 17 seconds long for the radio. I'm not sure what that is. We'll find out.
Radio, but yeah, no, maybe listen. But I do recognise the title.
Okay, so we're going to head off and listen to the album, and we'll be back with you guys in just a sec. So we've now listened to the album Parachutes by Coldplay. So Brett, what did you think of it?
Yeah, let me start by saying that I do really like Coldplay. All the songs of theirs that I know that I really enjoy everything there, and I've really enjoyed this sort of trilogy of Coldplay albums that we've listened to as well. So already positive. However, for me, for this album, and maybe I'm being a bit more critical because I do like Coldplay and everything, I found this one a bit boring. It was very much samey. And I think even the songs that I knew and liked, when I actually broke them down, they're actually quite boring songs as well. It's fair to say that Yellow is the standout song, and it stood out even more potentially on this album. I feel you kind of probably need to have owned the album, and like I've said a few times, what we call a bit of a grower. Kind of, you need to own it, listen to it, be in the right mood, and just sort of let it take its time on you.
Yeah.
It's not when you sort of pick up this. And we've always said about Coldplay and their songs, they don't really do pop songs. They've obviously had pop hits, but there's a bit more to them, a bit more meaning, or a bit more, they're not your standard sort of thing. So yeah, I generally found the album a bit boring. Like I said, the songs I knew, I did like, and I liked them, but that's as far as it went, really. And it's a shame because when we were going to do these old Coldplay albums, I really thought maybe there'd be some back catalogue songs I would really enjoy and take away. But I think apart from maybe that one we did on the Space Rock album, the X and Y one, a little disappointed that I felt like there wasn't any others I was going to take away, and now I'm still going to be listening, enjoying just the ones I know of Coldplay. So yeah, a bit of a downer there, but we'll go through some of the songs. And like I said, I'm probably being a bit more harsh, a bit more critical, but yeah, it's a shame, really.
Okay, so I'll touch on some of the stuff what you said in a moment after I've just gone through my notes. So I'm not kind of being what's the word? I don't want to be affected by what you've just said. I want to just say what I've already written, and like I said, then I'll touch on what you've said. So I've put it had a very soft early morning feel to it. It was quite nice to listen to, but none of the songs stood out for me, except obviously Yellow and Trouble wasn't bad as well. And yeah, I agree with what you said about it being boring. I think it was. And I also agree with what you said about it's one of those albums that kind of, you need to kind of own. And well, nowadays you don't have to own it. You could just put it on Spotify or play on Spotify or whatever. But yeah, like you need it. Maybe I think there's a little bit of time to grow on you, and yeah, you need to listen to it at certain moments, kind of thing. Depending on your mood. Yeah, it's not really one of those albums you just kind of pick up. So I don't know. Yeah, just play Parachute. I don't know. You have to kind of be in the right frame of mind for it, I feel. if we're going to be comparing the three albums we've listened to, I definitely preferred X and Y the most. And then I don't know what I'd put in second place, this one or the other one we did, Rush of Blood to the Head. Maybe this one just because it's got yellow on it, which is, I think, good enough reason itself. But yeah, like you, I wasn't able to like pick up any of the kind of, the back catalogue songs and non-released songs, apart from the X and Y album, where I was quite impressed with some of them. So let's go through each song. So the first one was Don't Panic. Quite nice, has a simple feel to it, which I like. And it was an unusual short song for Coldplay, this one.
Yeah, unusual short one. So this was a song that I know, one of their released ones. And it's funny, I always thought it was a lot longer of a song. And even when I knew it was a short song, it still felt quite long, which it sounds like that's sort of a negative thing to it in a way. But I don't know, it was really quite weird. But I knew the song and I actually really like it. I probably felt it would have been better a bit later, for me personally, later on in the album, just to help it out a bit. But yeah, it's if anything, it's probably almost one of the more upbeat songs of the album.
Yeah.
Even then, it wasn't that. But yeah, I do really like the song.
Then we had Shiver. So what sort of caught my attention straight away was the voice. Presumably, Chris Martin's voice at the beginning of the song. Well, this is nice, because I'm not really so keen on his voice. However, things changed later on in the song. I really didn't like the high parts when his voice goes high. I've said it before. I don't like it when he sings in his ridiculous high-pitched voice. I think it just sounds terrible. I really do. I really don't. I can't stand it. The song itself has a kind of rocky feel to it in parts. And again, I've just written here that a high-pitched voice really doesn't do it for me. It has different parts of the song, kind of like a less upbeat part, which was okay. Then the kind of the upbeat part where it got a bit rockier, and the high-pitched voice came on. So for me, it was so.
Yeah, so we've technically got these next three songs, which are like all begin with S and just one word titles. So I'm calling like the three S songs. This is one I vaguely remember. I think it's also one release I did, but I think it's one that ever gets played. I totally get what you're saying on those side of things there. I quite like the song Forward. I almost felt like it was two different songs mixed in, and it kind of, if you were going to get bored of one part of it, at least you had another bit to sort of mix it up a bit. But I do get what you're saying, and it is the more annoying parts of it. But I think it generally blended quite well, and it's definitely the best out of these next sort of three songs. But saying that, it wasn't the one, and I unfortunately did find it a bit boring, which is a shame, because I do like the song, and it sounds really contradicting. I know, I get that, but I can't help but feel that it just went on a bit and just was a bit boring, even though I did kind of like it. Maybe I liked it at a certain point, and then it's just, okay, I'm ready to move on.
Mm-hmm. Then we had Spies, which had a relaxed, light rock feel to it. It does build up though, but I wasn't too keen on this kind of the built-up part when it did kind of really take off. But overall, it was okay. Again, it's just like one of the typical songs on the album, very listenable, but a bit boring.
Yeah, sums up there. I think, very typical song on the album, and I felt this one kind of always had the most promise for one that I would enjoy and take away, because it's a song I didn't know or recognise. But again, like Shiver, it's kind of long. It did get a little boring, but I felt maybe need to listen to a few times to get the best of it there. So Shiver was my favourite out of the three SS's. This is my second favourite before we come on to the last S song.
This one was Sparks. So I'm guessing you didn't like this one. This one was nice and slow. Acoustics so far. That was my initial notes. And that was pretty much how it played out. I was surprised it didn't build up, because normally a lot of these songs with Coldplay, they do have that kind of slow start. They do kind of build up to some extent, but this one didn't. But I'm glad it didn't, as I don't think it's always needed. You know, like with, for example, with Shiver, yeah, it did have that build up, but it had that annoying high pitched voice. So I'd actually rather maybe sometimes it with this particular song, I'm actually kind of glad it just kind of stayed at one pace, one level. I put down as quite a nice song. It's definitely on the boring side, of course, but it's nice and listenable.
Yeah, and again, I think it's the same will apply for all these songs. I think the term we always use is like, yeah, nice songs. Like, can't really hate them because there's nothing overly bad or wrong with them. May just not be a sort of cup of tea. But yeah, again, found it a bit boring. It was my worst out of those 3 songs we've just had. A bit shorter though, but kind of stayed the same. And yeah, one of my least favourites on the album.
Okay. So then we had Yellow. So I put here absolute classic, great song, best Coldplay song, and just a song that I really, really like. I'm not going to say it's my overall favourite song of all time, but I don't know. I never really kind of don't have a list of my favourite all-time songs, but this would definitely be like on a, I don't know, if I had to give like maybe my top 100 songs, this would feature on it. But I've never kind of sort of, what's the word, like thought about the song. Obviously we're doing this kind of review, so it gave me a chance to actually kind of break it down a little bit more and understand like what's going on, maybe why I like it. So I guess for the most part, he's just on the acoustics, singing along, really nice. And the build-up works so well with this one, which I don't think is always the case with Coldplay. And I love the instrumental part as well. You know, I'm not always a fan of the instrumentals as well, but with this one, I don't know, everything just goes together really well. I can't really say exactly what it is I like about it, but it's just the combination of things. There are different elements of the song, slower parts, more built-up parts, the instrumental part, and I just love all of it, really.
Yeah, you've done really well there because I really struggled because a bit like you, I knew the song very well. I knew liked it. I was going to also try and sort of bring on why, especially after the last few songs we listened to, why this one then stood out. Because I then listened to it again because it was so different to the others. And I couldn't quite put my finger on it because the closer I got to it, so it is still kind of like a boring song in a way, but not. It's really hard to explain. There's something about it. And like I said, it's hard because when you know the song, you know the song. But I feel like if I didn't know the song, this would stand out. But maybe it's because the instrumental, the way it worked, or there's definitely something about it. Still a really, really good song. Really enjoyed it. I've even put here some brackets. So could this be maybe the sort of experimental song of them, which is unusual to say for a song that's big hit that you know. But in the sense of that, it did feel like it stood out really. I don't think it is the experimental song, but yeah, it is a good song. And maybe because it just hits for us also at sort of the right time and just it was I don't know, it was really hard to sort of break it down and think what the reason to it. But yeah, it is still for me the best song on the album.
So that was followed by Trouble. So when it came on, I was like, oh, I haven't heard this for a while. It's not a song I've really ever paid much attention to, but it's probably one of their better released songs. I was kind of thinking about it and listening to it. Oh, it's not bad, this. I think this was a good follow-up after Yellow on the album because, don't get me wrong, this is nowhere near as good as Yellow, but it's a next best thing. So it would have been a real downer if, like, after Yellow, some real boring song had come on. So I'm glad this did follow it. And look, it has a nice sort of low-key sound to it. Yeah, maybe I'm playing it up a little bit just because it's on an album with not really standout songs, really, apart from Yellow. So maybe because of that, it stands out a bit more because a lot of the other songs are, not particularly that exciting. So maybe that does help it. But overall, it's not a bad song. This I don't mind Trouble.
Yeah, so this was probably the first ever Coldplay song I probably knew or heard. It was one of their first released ones, and yeah, again, I think you summed up really well. It's strange, like it stands out, and it's a song I like, and it's one of the better ones on the album. But again, it is kind of boring. It kind of follows the same suit of a lot of the other songs, but yeah, something about it. It really sort of has a real emotional tie to it. And again, I can imagine it being on TV programs and films to really set an emotional scene, really. So it is still a really good song, well written, and that's when it made me realise about, okay, maybe this is where the point I made about thinking about like the other songs. It kind of maybe needs time. You need to listen to the album. So I think they all probably could be as good as Trouble, not as good as Yellow, maybe, but as good as Trouble. But you just need time to know and get to know it, really. So again, I feel with Trouble, if you didn't know it, it may have been just another sort of boring song on the album. But like I said, I did really like it.
Okay, so the next one's quite interesting. It's Parachutes, which is the name of the album as well. So it's only 46 seconds long. It's just a simple acoustic with some lyrics. I just kind of wonder what the reason was for this track. Like I said, it's the name of the album as well. I don't think it's really like, I can't remember, did we do a Coldplay album where there was some kind of interlude or some sort of short track? I don't remember anything like this before out of from the other two albums. So yeah, it's a bit of an odd one. I just wonder what's going on, why they did this.
Yeah, so like you, also was questioning this one, especially as the name of the title album. Because again, I know you normally say, title album songs should be a bit of a standout song, and it stood out because it was a short, nothing song. The reason what made me question it a bit more, not to give any spoilers away, because we'll get there eventually, but obviously there's a hidden track on this album, and like the hidden track was more like a proper song, and I feel like, well, why not have the proper song as part of the album, and then maybe had this Parachutes thing as a hidden track? Well, no, it was just going to be a full, because it didn't quite work as an interlude, because it wasn't just, I don't know. I mean, it is kind of, but I don't know, because it felt like it was going to be a song, but then just didn't. It's like they started the song and then decided we can't be bothered to finish it. Yeah, just for this. Yeah, we've got to have a song in there called Parachutes. This is the best we're going to get. We're out of time. But that's generally what it felt like, and it shouldn't feel like that because it's not about the length or like the interlude stuff. But unfortunately, that is how it sort of came across. It was very, very weird.
Okay, perhaps someone in the comments section would. Maybe who has more knowledge of the album might be able to tell us kind of what the reason for that song was. Next one was High Speed. Also feels quite low key and light. I put this one particularly good for like tripping probably, or like not tripping, like like if you're on maybe if you're smoking weed, I guess. I don't know. I've never been stoned, so I don't know exactly what the feeling's like, but it has that kind of feel to it. Maybe for the whole album, but I don't know. But particularly this song, maybe. But yeah, kind of a bit boring though.
Yeah, so I did put down sort of like the weed and getting high sort of thing, but I did put space rock. So this felt like X and Y, felt like that sort of space rock feel, which I really enjoyed that start of it. And thought, it sounds like this could be like space rock, the new term that I do like to know and try and tell those people about. But I liked it. It's just hard to get enthusiastic about it. And I said it sums up with a lot of the songs on the album. Again, nice, enjoyable to listen to. Had on the boring side of things. Just liked it. Just wasn't enthusiastic about it.
So next one was We Never Change. Very slow acoustic start, maybe a little too boring is what I put.
Yeah, I've got 3 words. It's slow, long, boring. But that's interesting. But it does feel like it could be a real good song. Like you said at the start, I like what you said about sort of like an early morning kind of sort of album to listen to. And I think you do have to be sort of in the right frame of mind and the right mood to sort of listen to this album. So it's the potential of like being a good song, but I think maybe because you've just kind of this on this album and it's just like, oh, it's just another one of these, and if there's a couple of just sort of songs a bit like maybe from other albums like Clocks or Speaks on something to just perk you up a bit, and then you can chill. But like I said, when you've had this lot of the same, this one especially, and again I think it was another real quite long song. It felt like it as well. So it's a shame. Like I say, there's potential of being a good song.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think it did need a little bit more variety. There was too much of the kind of low key stuff on this album, and then as you get towards the end, you kind of like, oh, I've had enough. And it probably makes the songs towards the end seem even more boring than maybe what they really are, because you've just been so used to this kind of sort of low key stuff, as I call it. Okay, and then we finished off with Everything's Not Lost, as well as Life is for Living, which was the hidden track. So Everything's Not Lost. My notes for that are, it's not bad, this one. It is low key, but not too low. You know, build up a little bit. Has a nice feel to it. It's quite a long song. And then the hidden track as well, Life is for Living. Not much to it really. It was short. Not as short as Parachutes, but it was still pretty short. I never really kind of just finished. I was like, didn't really gather any thoughts on it really. Kind of finished before I'd really noticed it, I suppose. So yeah, that's me done.
I can't really add too much onto that one. I quite enjoyed the lyrics of Everything Not Lost. I felt like they stuck out a little bit more. Quite like that. But again, it had the same sort of thing. It was quite long, a bit boring. Potentially be a really good, enjoyable song if I had sort of time to really get into it and listen to it. And it was it did go a tiny bit upbeat. I say upbeat in a real sort of low key kind of upbeat sort of way. And then for sort of the last track, I said that's where I was making the points about they should have swapped this song with potentially Parachutes. I was more interested with hidden tracks just a little bit. I know it's a little bit off topic once we've got the time on it, because I feel like the early noughties when this was released, hidden tracks were quite sort of a big thing. And I can only base this on albums I had where I had them, but like I said, this felt like it could have been a proper song and should have been on the album, whilst other hidden tracks have been something a little bit different, a bit out there. I think like Rob Williams, but then were real good hidden track, because normally most hidden tracks are like the last song on the album. So the last track is normally like 13 minutes long. So for me, I used to always listen to songs and CDs when I had them on random, just to mix it up. And that's how you can easily find, because when you suddenly have the last song play, you have to wait ages for something to come in. But on the McFly album, I know this is really off topic, but I thought it was really interesting. So the McFly album I've got, the hidden track, believe it or not, is actually before track one. So to listen to it, you have to start track one and go and skip backwards. And it goes to like track 0, where you find this sort of hidden track, which I thought was really interesting. While instead of the rest were always just a bit further on the last song, really. So just throw that in there after we've had a bit of a boring album.
Yeah, again, a bit off topic. I think there'd be a lot of artists that would be, what's the words? Like they wouldn't like the fact you would listen to albums like, you know, randomly, you know, the songs randomly, because I think a lot of albums, there is a reason why they're in certain orders. I mean, I personally don't usually feel it, but I don't know. I think artists would. They do have there is a reason for their
absolutely
songs in the order they play. But okay, so yeah, to sum up, I agree with what the comment said. For the person that requested the song. I can't remember what it was exactly, but it was that kind of, you know, easy kind of feel to it. There was a word he used, wasn't it? Mellow. I can't even pronounce that word, but mellow something, melancholic or something. Which I think it was kind of like that. It was just, I can't. Did I kind of maybe say the last album we listened to? I can't remember what I said about it, but this was definitely different to that. It was very different, but it was just a little bit too low key for me. Like kind of like what you were saying. If some of the songs were like that, that's fine, but just needed something to lift us up a little bit more, I felt. So Yellow, amazing song. Trouble, not bad. Nice enough songs on there, nice to listen to, maybe, relaxing, and you need to be in the right frame of mind to listen to them, to the album in general. It was okay, but I'm going to use the B word. It was boring. Brett, what about you?
Again, totally agree with everything you're saying. And adding sort of the upbeat track, I said we don't want to take anything away from Coldplay and what they were trying to do with that. But I think just need that one song. And that's why I even said, like, don't panic at the start. Even if it was a little bit later on, that's the kind of song you just need to break it up a tiny bit. But like I said, I've really enjoyed listening to all three of these albums. And what I've really liked is that for albums that are fairly close together, I think there's only maybe like a year or two between them being released, they're very distinctive. Like, you could easily tell which album's which. We might not be able to tell individual songs, some blending, but I think that's quite very very apt for sort of Coldplay to be, to be able to have these sort of different elements to them. So unfortunately for me, this probably is my least favourite out of the three. It's hard because, like I said, the songs I do on there, I do like, but overall as albums, so it was just that little bit boring. But I do believe, if it had a bit of time and owned it and got to know it, it would definitely grow me, and I think it would turn out to be a really, really good album. But for that one time listening, and so when you've got the songs that stand out, the rest just don't quite match up to them, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So thank you for a request. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks for the next one. Goodbye.